coming in right there, but yeah, bringing in the Motivational Monday message. Yep, I'm not using StreamYard for this one either. We'll just go straight up. I am back a little bit. I'm in a similar spot that we used to be in, but I'm trying to monitor like at the time of day, to keep, the sun coming in, bright and all is nice. And the way that it comes in, it can look hazy in here. So if it looks hazy in here from time to time when you come across a video on this YouTube channel, just know that's the sunshine. Right now, yours truly has not started smoking again, and it ain't gonna happen. Now, we quit smoking cigarettes almost 2 years ago as of the time of this recording now, and we ain't, oh no, we are not going back. Okay, so just know that if you do see any kind of haziness going on, it's from the way that the sun is coming in. Okay, it's from the sunshine outside. So let the notification go out. The MM stands for Motivational Monday. That's right. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Motivational Monday show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. So while the notifications go out, I know it's roughly around 5 minutes or so before 4 p.m. usually. We want to get up here with the Motivational Monday message around 4 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll go for approximately an hour. It depends. These Motivational Monday shows are structured for advertising. Now, we do them differently. Like, if I'm not using StreamYard, I'm just going to plug in something every once in a while. That's how we're going to advertise. Otherwise, y'all don't know what we got if I don't tell you. Okay? And those of you who have been with us for a while, hey, thank you for understanding. And those who are new, welcome to the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. That's right. Let me go ahead and do our usual check here. But God needed me to get on here and tell you all this, that you got to remember God's progress. We have to unlearn the indoctrination of impatience, because God, right. There we go. All right, there you go. Because God's progress, one day at a time, one day at a time. Listen, I know when God does do something suddenly, it's not going to be overwhelming. It's going to be more like I've talked about before. When God does something suddenly, it's going to be more like, oh, okay. Like, for example, I have this on my spirit. He put it on my spirit suddenly yesterday. And then we've been kind of going over it today. And I said, well, okay, but I don't have to go get it today. He said, no, it can wait till Tuesday or the next day or the next day. You know what I'm saying? The God suddenly is like, okay, you put it on my spirit. It's like, oh, okay, we're definitely going to get this because we need this to go forward with what it is God has us working on. And, whether it be the healing or, coming up with new products and new videos, things like that, whatever it is. And he said, yeah, he put it on my spirit, and he put it on my spirit suddenly. Not out of the blue, but on my spirit suddenly. It would seem like it's out of the blue. No. The devil operates out of the blue differently. Like, you could be walking around feeling just fine, like, for the most of the day, and then out of the blue, suddenly feel off. No. That's from the devil. That's when you stop and go, hold on a minute. Who's projecting that? Okay, who's projecting that stuff? Is there a narcissist around? That kind of stuff. But when God puts something on our spirit suddenly, that's what that means. It doesn't mean that we got to drop what we're doing and like to go get something. We may not have to go get it right then and there. He said it can wait till the next day or the next day. Okay, or the next day. It's just something that he says, okay, this is what's coming up. I'm going to need you to get this to go with this or to help with this or that. That's God suddenly. Right? It isn't just an overnight. God's progress is one day at a time. Okay, you got to remember that God's progress is one day at a time. That's why I tell y'all, pay attention to the small detail. All right, that's your motivation right there. If you are waking up and you're like, okay, you do the daily self check-in. We're big on that. You got to do that daily self check-in. And yes, sometimes it can take 2 hours after you get up. Thank God for another day. You put on that spiritual armor of God. And sometimes it can take a couple hours to do that daily self-check-in to really know where you are at. Where are you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, okay? Are you still connected? Psychologically, spiritually? That's right. And emotionally, are you still connected? That's the mind, body, spirit connection. It has nothing to do with the physical. Because if you're up and around, obviously you're physically connected. All right? That's obvious. Okay? If you are, I mean, seriously, in general, y'all. But the mind, body, spirit connection, okay, that mentally, psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally. You got to control yourself. All right, you do the daily self-check-in. All right, now, you're like, I want to, you want to motivate yourself? Look for the small progress, the small step, God's progress, one day at a time. Because like I've shared before, there are certain things 3 months ago that I was not able to do yet because I hadn't, my flexibility for a particular area of my body had not returned yet. Now it has. Glory be to God. That's God's progress right there. It's why I'm big on do not force what's going to happen naturally. Okay? It's like I'm standing around, like, walking and things, right? Okay? As the bruising from my knees continues to heal. And so things get realigned. And I'm like, all right. So as we continue to go on, we're doing our preventive therapy and our therapy. We're also doing our training like an athlete, a little at a time. God's progress, one day at a time. One day at a time. Because if we try to rush any of it, we're going to mess it up. We're going to mess it up. If we try to rush the process, we can't do that. This is why we're so big on that. You cannot rush the process. God's progress is one day at a time. And so it has been one day at a time ever since we got into God's reality. We just had to unlearn the indoctrination of impatience. Because let me tell you something. Yeah. I mean, sometimes do I go, man, when is the ice packing going to happen? When is it going to stop? We ain't complaining. But I love it when the Lord said, yeah, he said, your ice packing days are coming to an end. But go with the God flow, God's progress. Okay? My ice packing days are coming to an end. Glory be to God. I'm looking forward to that. All right, then what do we need to ice pack today? That motivates me to keep up like, because, and the reason being is, I'm not going to don't be weary in well-doing. It's just we've been having to ice pack certain areas for a long time. It feels like forever. And it's time-consuming. I'd rather be, let me share with you all. I had this talk with God, because it's why we got to get up here and give y'all this message, because y'all ain't alone in this. Y'all ain't not alone in this, all right? Because I'm with you. I'm sitting there like, all right, I get this table, and I got my notebooks. I got several of them. I got stuff written all over them. I got these I want to edit and get them up. I got this project. I want to get this edited. So many things. And none of it takes that long. But dang it, I got to get the daggone ice pack out. And the only way it's going to stay in place is if I'm doing that. I got to hold it in place. Well, in order to edit and upload efficiently and effectively, I need both hands. So as you can see, yeah, the human side of me is like, don't. Alrighty then, because I got to wait about 10-15 minutes now before I can tackle the next task, because I got ice pack. But God's progress, no big deal. But I mean, I'm just sharing with y'all little things like that, because it's like, dang it, but we do what we got to do, and we are going to continue going forward. And so if it takes us a little bit longer to get something done in a particular season, then so be it. It's God's progress. But we still have to do what God needs us to do. And if that means we still have to do some self-caring with ice packing, well, by golly, go with the God flow, God's progress. So, yeah, because I went through that more than once. So, yeah, yours truly. All right, we are not perfect, y'all. God knows that. He knew I was going to do that. That's why he said, girl, he said, your ice packing days are coming to an end. Just keep going. You know what I'm saying? That all storms are temporary, right? Okay, see, I need to be reminded of that too. And that was God's way of saying all storms are temporary. He said the ice pack is coming to an end, but I need you to keep going with it right now. He said, I need your help on the outside. I'm working on the inside, but I need you to do this on the outside. You understand how that works? See, I got an ice pack on the outside. God's on the inside. He's like, okay. He said, I'm working on it in here. He said, I'm telling you what I need out there. All right, that's God talking. God saying, I need some ice here. I need some ice there. Got to listen to God. He's telling you. All right? That's just an example to help y'all put it in perspective. But yeah, I mean, I go through it. But it is God's progress. Okay? And that's just the way it is. Okay? Again, we're not perfect. And we have to be reminded of that. Because, boy, that indoctrination of impatience by the Matrix, I'm going to tell you, oh my goodness, yeah, it goes deep. And you got to remember years of it, right? I mean, it's not like that happened overnight. I mean, think about your childhood, right? You're growing up, and remember how they always told you, oh, the older you get, the faster time flies. That's mindset, y'all. Unlearn that. Purge the subconscious. Because when you're operating on God's time, that's not true. It may seem that way at times, but no. It depends on what you're celebrating still. It depends on what you're still doing. It depends on your old mindset. It depends on old habits. It depends on your circumstances as well. But it really is all about mindset. If you believe that time flies the older you get, well, then that's going to happen. I never did believe that. I was like, well, okay. I heard it when they said that, but I was like, no, but there were certain things that we had to unlearn so we could develop God's patience, because it really takes an extreme amount of patience being an entrepreneur now. And yeah, I don't go clocking in nowhere. This ministry is my work. So everything you all sow into this ministry, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Because it all goes right back into this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. So I can continue to be bringing you all more of these motivational Monday messages, and then other things, okay? Inspirational messages, just to get up here and serve the God Spirit in you all, to serve the kingdom of God. Because we got to know it. God's progress is one day at a time. Now, if you're talking about, a question about the ice packing I was talking about. Okay, but inside the room. Okay, inside the room. I'm not ice packing out here. Inside the room. Okay, inside the room, it depends on the ice pack, though, too. I've got one that can last for a good hour or so, and then the little ones I have last for probably about 15 minutes, and which is an average. You know, if you read the instructions, they'll tell you that roughly up to 20 minutes at a time that you want to ice pack a certain spot if you must be ice packing something. So, really, 20 minutes is plenty. Okay, it depends on what it is you're ice packing and why. So, never forget that. Okay, it's very, very important to understand that, you know, it's God's progress, one day at a time. And we can't rush it. We can't rush it, because I'm going to tell you, every time we try to rush it, we're going to mess it up. We're going to mess it up. So, thank you all also for giving these videos a thumbs up, so that our fellow spiritual warriors for Christ can get the messages as needed. That's right, as needed, because this is a reminder for all of us. For all of us. So, yeah, now, I don't want to spend, no, they're not the refill. No, the ice packs I get, they go in the freezer. They're not refillable. You can make your own ice packs and things like that. But if you want ice packing tips, send me an email. All right, send me an email. But God's progress is one day at a time, because he does not... Think about how the devil builds things up real quick just to tear them down. We just talked about that yesterday, okay? And Let's Just Chat. We talked about how narcissists will build you up just to turn around and destroy you. That's how the devil works. He wants to build you up so fast and so quick just to turn around and tear it right back down, right? God doesn't work like that. God is a one day at a time, one step at a time. Because God, everlasting, right? You know how I talk about getting over to the other side of that rainbow, right? All right, when God awakens us to the narcissism and the abuse and the traumatization, everything like that, we're getting on this rainbow. We're in the spiritual awakening now. And so we got to go up, right? You experience that turbulence, right? As if you're right, as if it's an airplane taking off. And so you're going to go up, start to go up that rainbow, right? And then as you go over there, right, you make progress one day at a time. God's progress, one day at a time. Sorting through the mud of the muck, the confusion, right? To get to the other side of that rainbow, where you get the balance between the spiritual and the physical, so you can properly discern who is who out here. So you know who's the fake, which is a narcissist, versus who's real, who's the chosen one. Okay? We are in a spiritual battle for the mind between chosen ones and narcissists. So you want to remember that. Okay? And yeah, and God's progress, that's the other part. Thank you, Chris. God's progress has a lot of details. A lot of detail. That's why I tell y'all, pay attention to the small details. They tell the biggest story. So the smallest progress. A great example I was alluding to earlier, okay, about I'm walking, right? As I'm, I'm walking around, I'm doing and things like that. Start the flexibility and mobility coming back in certain areas. And so I noticed when I went to go reach to get something out of a cabinet, and my foot and my leg turned a certain way without me. It was a natural occurrence that I did not do on purpose, but had not done. And it just let me know, oh, that's a small detail right there. I was like, oh, we got some mobility back there. Okay, cool. So we make note of it, but we don't have to go around purposely stepping like that again. No, we just know that happened naturally. We didn't force it. It just happened naturally, as it was supposed to, as the mobility returned to that particular area or that joint or whatever. And so like, okay, so that's back to normal. Yay, glory be to God. Small detail, God's progress, one day at a time. Okay? So, with that being said, it just goes right into not rushing it. If I had tried to rush that, well, I wouldn't even thought about that. But if I had tried to rush that, yeah, we would have messed it up. And we could have prolonged the inability for that to happen naturally. So you can call, I guess you can call some of the progress that we make with God's progress, happy creative accidents. Okay, we can have those, sure. But we want to remember that God is going to guide our step. God is going to do things. We got to trust Him. That's the thing. Remember, God says, trust me and I'll show you. Whereas we have man out here, the matrix, and mankind, that says, oh, well, I'll believe it when I see it. When God said, just trust me and I'll show you. So God's progress one day at a time. So we got to trust that. God said, trust me and I'll show you. And He does. He's revealing all post-narcissistic abuse as we get transformed into the best version that God created us to be. And this is not our final destination. Again, y'all, drop that in the comment below. Not my final destination. Glory be to God. Not my final destination, because it's not. It's God's progress one day at a time. One day at a time. As you have to remind yourself of that. One day at a time. And the other thing that you can complete one day at a time, that's right, is our course, How the Trauma Bond is Formed, at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. That link is listed below for quicker access. You have the option of a one-time payment or 5 monthly installments, whatever works best for you, but you will learn how the trauma bond to these narcissists is formed. Once you have a great, solid understanding with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, you will never get trauma bonded to another narcissist again, because you'll pick up on when they're trying to manipulate your brain chemistry, because that's essentially what's going on during the trauma bonding process. So that's what you'll learn about. That's right, and how the trauma bond is formed at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. I look forward to seeing you there. Yes, in CHA's community forum as well, where that's another place for this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ to convene, get questions answered, share insights, share I upload weekly content right there in the community forum as well. Fun fact videos and short Bible study videos. When we have them, word of the week and other things. Articles pertaining to the combat against radio frequency for healthier living. It's all part of the trauma healing and spiritual growth in this ministry. So we want to be mindful. So you can complete that course one day at a time. God's progress. Because you have access to it to complete at your own pace for 365 days. Yes, that's right. So once we get, well, that's the other thing. God's progress. When he awakens us to the narcissism and all of the abuse and the traumatization around us, once he does that, then yeah, we've got to take, we got to take back control of our own mind. That's what happened. If we take our power back from the narcissist, because we get control of our own mind, meaning we also get control of our own emotions once we realize, oh, only we can control ourselves. That's it. That's it. Only we have control over our emotions. We can't control how they're going to react. Now, the devil and his flying monkeys on the world stage use radio frequency, for mind control and to, it does control their behaviors. But we have no control over them and their emotion. Nope. Once we realize that it's not our problem, we don't take it personal. Okay, chosen one, don't take it personal. That's part of God's progress, one day at a time, learning to not take it personal. That's for somebody right there. Because this spiritual battle for the mind is not personal. No. All right? It's not personal. But there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that's going on in it. Okay? It basically is, it's psychological warfare. And then not just that, but it's biological warfare as well. You'll learn more about that. Also on the Patreon channel, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But getting back to controlling ourselves and our own mind, things like that, because that's part of God's progress one day at a time. Because you're not going to do that overnight. You're not going to overcome all the trauma triggers overnight. That's just not going to happen. It's one day at a time. And so, and exactly, you got to learn to be receptive and accepted. You have to accept and be receptive, thank you, of God's working on our behalf, okay? Because he's doing the improving and the progressing. God's the one doing it for us, okay? So that's what we got to let him. Let it happen naturally. Don't try to force what's going to happen naturally. We're big on that in this ministry for a reason. We can't force what's going to happen naturally. Because, that's what the Matrix tries to do, though. The Matrix really wants to try and force things that are going to happen naturally for healing and things like that, especially in the physical. Oh, gosh, you can see it all day long. If you're paying attention, that is. But it's God's progress, one day at a time. And I'm going to share with you all that, I have my moments. Like I shared a little earlier about, wanting to get more stuff done. But God says, I need some ice over here. Or some ice over there. But we have to, we got to be mindful of that. Because God needs us to walk the walk. In order for us to walk the walk, with him guiding our steps, we got to let him guide and obey. When he says slow down, we got to slow down. When he says get up, we got to get up. When he says sit down, we sit down. When he says to, when he says to stop, we stop. It's that simple. And remember, Jesus said, my sheep know my voice. So when we know God's voice, we know God's voice. And we are obeying. We're going to listen to God every step of the way, because he's the one that we should be obeying. Not man, not the Matrix, not nothing. In fact, we learn to do the opposite of what the Matrix tried to tell us to do. Okay? And chosen ones, we don't run. We're not hypochondriacs. So there you go. Well, that's it. All right, God's progress one day at a time. And in order for it to be progressed, right, you got to have control of your own mind. Because otherwise, Yeah, who or what does? Well, we can pretty much tell you that would be the matrix and radio frequency poisoning that would have control of your mind if you don't have control of it. And so you got to be open-minded, but not too. Let me tell y'all something. Be open-minded, but not too open-minded. Remember, the reason a lot of garbage got in there in the first place is because, let's face it, we were a bit too open-minded for a good majority of our lives. We were a bit too open-minded. There is such a thing. But yes, we are still open-minded enough. That's right. To allow God to do what God's got to do and have that faith that we need to have. Trusting Him 100%. Because He's not going to fail us. He never has. God's the only one who will never fail us. Yeah, He's the only one who can keep them promises. And, well, we could say that no more rabbit hole stuff. That depends. Okay, that depends. Because there's always rabbit hole stuff that comes to light in the spiritual awakening. But we don't spend as much time in the rabbit hole anymore. If we just let that stuff come to us on TikTok. Oh, yeah. We just let the rabbit hole stuff come to us on TikTok. Ooh, look at my peach fuzz, y'all. Yeah. Got my baby hairs coming back in. I just happened to notice that. Isn't that cute? I look like a, what do they call that? A cockatoo? I don't know how they have that hair coming right up. There you go. Yeah, whatever the name of that bird is. Alright, anyhow. God's progress. Well, see, that's another thing. The hair growing back. God's progress. One day at a time. Might be a little crazy here and there, but it's coming back. Glory be to God. One day at a time. God's progress. So I ain't trying to rush that. I did have some stuff, and I'm going to tell you what, it felt good on the scalp. It's like a natural oil with all natural, like, shea butters and stuff. And I was using it, and it really did. It felt great on the scalp. I was like, ooh, I could feel the nourishment. But there came a time where I was like, okay, that don't need that anymore. See, that's the other thing. With God's progress, you got to realize this. Listen, y'all, when God has us get something, because that was to help nourish the hair there for a short season, everything is in God's season. God's progress, one day at a time, God's season. So I don't have to use that oil anymore. It was just for, it was a decent-sized bottle, but it served its purpose. I only had to use it a few times for it to, yeah, thank you, cockatoo. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we got that. All right. But I only needed that oil for a short time. Okay, for a short season. And so and there was only maybe, I wasn't even halfway of using it because it didn't take much for short hair. But he said I already used what I needed to use for the nourishment because other things will start to heal and continue to return to normal. Now, it's like, okay, I just needed that for a little bit of nourishment during a very short season. And I said, okay, well, do I need to keep it? And he's like, no. It served its purpose, so we throw the rest out. I know you'd be like, what? We don't have the love of money, chosen one. It's like, that's replaceable, but God told me I didn't need it anymore. I used what I needed. It only came in one side. And it was not that expensive anyhow, a few bucks. But I used what I needed to use to make the progress that God needed me to make for the nourishment of my hair. And so, yes, there you go. Thank you for that reminder at CHA Academy. See, when y'all enroll in the courses there, you'll find in the community forum, because you get access to that when you enroll in courses or you become a member. Whatever, yeah, there's a Spiritual Warriors for Christ membership. By the way, real quick, I know there's some previous videos where I talk about memberships. Well, I took away the general because it was the same price as the Spiritual Warriors for Christ membership at CHA Academy. That was during a season where I was running on my adrenaline. I don't know what I was thinking, where I had to have 2 different memberships for the academy. No, I don't. I thought maybe some people wouldn't be ready to identify as a spiritual warrior for Christ. But I was like, well, that's what we are. That's what we are, chosen one. So it's the Spiritual Warriors for Christ membership at CHA Academy. That gets you access to the community forum too, where Chris has shared some shoulder stands and things like that for circulation to the brain and scalp. Okay, inside the community there. See, that's the other thing that gets shared. Other good tips and tricks and things like that. And the shoulder stand, no. I'm not doing anything when I have to be standing on my head. No. I haven't done that for years, but I have done some other things that are working just fine as far as the circulating. I have a brush that has very, I'm not going to say hard, bristles or anything, but it does the trick as far as stimulating when I'm brushing my hair. And then also, massaging and things like that. But I will tell you that ice packing and then also just staying busy and then some other things that you have talked about there. So, I don't even know about those hair restore tonics. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, marketed for men. Anyways, I have no idea. I have no idea. You'll have to go read some Amazon reviews for that one. But, yeah, no, as far as circulation returning to the brain and to the scalp, there's a lot of different ways, but I decided I'm not doing anything that requires me to have to stand on my head. I'm just not going to do it. Not out of fear or anything, but just because I've not done that for years tells me I don't need to. But I can do other things where I'm not standing on my head, but can kind of mimic that exercise, if you will. There's other things that I can do. So that's that. And again, that also would be God's progress one day at a time. One day at a time. And so, as you're talking about, hair growth and hair restoration and things like that, you all will have to do the research. All I know is that there are a lot of things with that will happen naturally too. But you have to get away from excessive radio frequency, and you've got to detox, and you've got to get your body's circulation got to return to normal. First, it had to return to normal. And then, once it returns to normal and you're getting the oxygen that you need and things like that, it'll get where it's got to go. And once that oxygen gets where it needs to go, then you'll start to notice some improvements. Your hair will get thicker. Other things will take place. Things that need to heal will heal. All kinds of things. That's why I say God's progress is one day at a time. One day at a time. And we learn to go with the God flow in that respect. I mean, I'm going to tell y'all, yeah. I had days where I'm like sitting here going, okay, I really want to get to this project and I want to get it done. But God said, yeah, I need you to do this, this, and this first. It is that way in God's reality. And so we have to go with the God flow in that respect as well. Because if we try, we can't ignore when God says, okay, but this needs to come before that. I've said it before, y'all. God's order is not our order. I mean, we could have a list and we could say, all right, I'm going to go A, B, C, D, and E. And so we get ready to get started and we're like, all right, A, number 1. And God's like, no, I need you to do D, number 4. Okay. So the way that we put it on paper is not necessarily the way that God is going to have us finish it. So again, thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up on these videos and messages on this channel and other places, by the way, the Patreon channel as well, because that helps the algorithm know that this needs to reach more fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. And then, yes, improved circulation will also be improved concentration, focus, clarity, and all of that. Things that the devil does not want people to have, right? Oh, that's right. So, God has other plans. We can sit there and go, oh yeah, we're going to do it in A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can say we're going to go, okay, we're going to start with this and go there. Because I'm going to tell y'all that I did, when I was getting ready to move from the previous environment, I had it in my mind, I was going to buy a house. Oh yeah, I was like, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to finally buy me a house. So I was looking for houses in a place that I wanted to look for houses in. But instead, I'm currently where I'm at in Florida, basically Well, they call it an apartment, but it's an extended stay hotel room. It's renovated. It's a renovated hotel room. But it's an extended stay where I pay a monthly rate disguised as a rental contract. But anyhow, welcome to the Matrix. But yeah, and oh, there's some luxury to it. Don't get me wrong. They're good about that part, so I'll give them that. But as far as it being an apartment, no, it's still a hotel room. It's just an extended stay hotel room. And so I was like, okay, well, that's how that happens. That's how God had it planned out. I thought I was going to buy a house in another state. I was lining all that up. That's not what God had planned. So you have to go with the God flow, God's progress, one day at a time. And so what? Go for the house? But, well, there's no way. I had no down payment at that particular point in time. I had no down payment. I had no idea. And not only that, remember, the Jezebel case study and the physical assault that I had to start healing from, I didn't know which way was up and which way was down. I just knew I had to keep this ministry going, and I had to get somewhere stable. That's all I knew at that point. And my finances, no way could I get a house. That was the reality. No way could I get a house in that situation. No way. But that doesn't mean I'll never have one. God already showed me. It's like, just wait. So we got to go with the God flow and let God's progress happen. He's like, he needed me to heal from that physical assault. And so he got me where he got me. In an extended stay hotel room that kind of, can serve as a little bit of a hospital room, an outpatient, if you will. But, more on that later, because I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm catching on to the devil's schemes in the Matrix as well. So, well, I'm going to tell you, it's not the price of the house. It's just the fact that I need to be able to get a down payment. I need to be able to afford that. I need to be, what I'm saying? I need to be in a better situation financially to be able to get a house. That's just a reality for all of us. For any of us wanting to get a house, that's just the way it is. You got to have the finances to do that, don't you? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So, we just got to live within our means at this particular point. But I don't think they're priced too high for us. I just think it's God's timing. It is God's timing, God's progress. So, and then there are some houses, there are some houses that are overpriced, just like a lot of things in the Matrix that are overpriced. It takes research. It takes research. And God always had things picked out for us. Like, I knew when I landed where I'm at in the extended stay hotel room, I was like, God had that picked out from day one of me leaving. Even before I left, he had it picked out and planned. He had my escape route, my escape route planned from the Jezebel case study. He had it all planned out. And so he knew. And so I'm just following God's step, going with the God flow, God's progress, one day at a time. Learn to get that God-like patience, because you got to. Because don't nothing move near as fast as the Matrix wants you to think it does. You start to realize that in God's reality. And not only that, there's a lot of inconsistency inside the Matrix that goes along with the chaos and drama to feed that game of narcissism on the world stage. And we walk away from that. We are out of the Matrix spiritually, chosen one. That's the bottom line right there, but you got to keep going. And understand that God's progress is literally one day at a time. Sometimes be 1 minute at a time, okay? Don't be trying to force what's going to happen naturally. Don't be trying to rush nothing. Don't be trying to any of that. Because God's going to make it happen at his appointed time. Always, that's in Galatians 4 verse 2. And then never forget Isaiah 60 verse 22. That when the time is right. When the time is right. So we don't know when that is. Only God does. When the time is right. When the time is right. And I'm going to tell y'all. Glory be to God. Be giving thanks daily. Even for the small progress. Small detail. Small details tell the bigger story. And never forget the patterns also tell a story. So we teach that often because it's true. And we see a lot more of the pattern. One day at a time. That's God's progress. And so we always want to stay focused on that. And remind ourselves, just because if we did not get everything on that list that day done, but we got at least 3, oh my gosh, you made progress. Remind yourself, okay, you know what? It's God's progress. One day at a time, one thing at a time. I remember getting on here and having to be reminded one project at a time. So let's drop that in the comments again. That's right, let's drop that in the comments below, one project at a time. Because even I need to be reminded of that sometime. Try to get my hands in too many cookie jars. And so, there you go. One project at a time. There you go. Okay, and so I've got a question. All right, so now we are at the last 20 minutes. So we're going to do some Q&A here, y'all. If you've got any questions, I'm going to continue to deliver God's message. And I'll get you your questions here. We'll talk about this, and more. We're going to do a little bit of and more here, so I can answer any questions and get to any additional comments. All right, there you go. One project at a time. Drop it, even on the replay. Drop it in the comment. One project at a time. But I want to tell y'all what God's got us doing for the Patreon channel. You will see now on this YouTube channel, you will see a playlist where you will see Patreon channel previews, and you want to hit that subscribe and notification bell, because we are going to be dropping short videos like you will see on the Patreon channel with content that's on the Patreon channel for the free membership side of the Patreon channel. Yes, there is a free membership side. All right, they did that because they did a study, if you will, and they found that by offering a free membership before people made the decision to go ahead and become a loyal paying member to unlock access to the exclusive content, which you can do on our Patreon channel for as little as $5 a month. And before they do that, they said that about, I want to say around 80%, they said about 80% of the free members ended up becoming paying members later on. So that's why Patreon has changed that now to where there's a free membership side. And so you can do that to test the waters. What I'm doing is, because of the free membership side, instead of uploading the short videos for the free side, I was doing it directly to Patreon, but we decided to bring it on over here to YouTube and then share the YouTube video link over on Patreon for the public side. That's what we're doing now. So it's still for the free membership side, but we're reaching more people with YouTube involved now as well. Basically using YouTube as a marketing tool, obviously. I mean, why not, right? It uses itself as a marketing tool. Think about it. YouTube uses its own platform for marketing. All right, pay attention. So, that being said, we're tapping into that technique. And not just with everything else that we have at the Academy and on the website with individual sessions. You can always check those out as well. Individual consulting and coaching sessions available every week. Right there on the website, you will find consulting and coaching session in the navigation drop-down menu. The website link is listed below for quicker access as well. And so we're doing that with the Patreon channel. So you will find... Okay, you will find, it's a different thumbnail, but it tells you that it's on Patreon short video or short version. If it says short version, that's going to tell you there's a longer form video that you can unlock access to when you become a paying member. Okay, a loyal paying member on the Patreon channel, because we've been lied to since birth about almost everything, as you will also hear about on CHA's Truth Seeker podcast. That's right, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Listen Notes, Stitcher, Deezer, and more. You can find CHA's Truth Seeker podcast, pre-recorded episode. You can find the podcast platform that they are located on, right on CHA's Truth Seeker podcast page of the website as well. So there you go. All right, we got something for all y'all. If you're new, I highly encourage y'all to check it all out. And this ain't overnight. We have been building these things for, gosh, now going on 4 to 5 years now. We've been at it, okay, for a lot of things. It's just that there were some Jezebels that came across our path. Not the one that gave birth to me. She passed away. But other Jezebels that came across our path that we had to learn about, and some other deception in the matrix that we had to learn lessons from. So now, right now, we're finally getting things a bit more aligned now. And so we can bring you all a lot more of all of this, not just from the rabbit hole, but God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more. And we keep it real. I mean, we're not sugarcoating. We are straight talking it, just like Jesus did, telling the truth, speaking truth. And not everybody's ready for it. Not everybody wants to hear it. We know that narcissists don't want to hear the truth. They don't want the truth. They don't want to even change their life. They don't want nothing to change for themselves. Okay? But chosen one, those who do, we do want to change. We want to be transformed by the renewing of the mind. Right? We know that God has big plans for his chosen one. We know that. And so now let me get to, that's right, let me get to the questions over here. All right, it says, okay, Chris wants to know, would you marry again and maybe get a house with your future hubby to combine finances? Okay, now, as far as getting married again, it ain't got nothing to do with finances. I'm going to tell you that right now. I could care less about that. Because I know that when it's time for me to get a house, I'm going to get a house. And I'm going to be so financially stable that God uses my pocket to bless everybody else. That's going to happen first. If it is meant for me to get married again, that's God's doing. I am not thinking about it. I am not looking. I'm not on the market for that. I'm married to Jesus. I made a covenant with God. I'm married to Jesus. And if God wants me to remarry again, he will have it happen at his appointed time. And it ain't got nothing to do with finances. Nothing to do with finances. So that's a lesson for y'all right there. How you thinking about your future with somebody. If God has that for us, then it will be at God's appointed time, on God's time. When I say let go and let God, that's exactly what I've done. When God awakened me to all the narcissism and the narcissistic abuse, and Jesus saved my soul, that was the day I said, that's it. I knew that was my judgment day. And I said, okay, Jesus, take my hands. I can't do this alone. I said, okay, God, what you need me to do? I said, I'm with you. I said, I let go and let God. I said, I'm turning it all over to you. Everything. Everything. I let it all go. And I have turned it over to God ever since. Everything that I run into, everything that we end up going through, I go to God. I give it to God. I give it to Jesus. Jesus says, give me your burden. Jesus said, those are mine. Jesus said, them burdens you're trying to carry, he said, those are mine. He said, give them to me. And I'm going to tell y'all, the moment you give your burden to Jesus, that's when you get them tears of joy. Because you know it's already won. That battle is already won. And you got to trust and believe. 100%. I'm going to tell you right now that, I'm getting a little teary-eyed only because I remember that day. And let me tell you, the moment that I gave it to God, I let go and let God, woo! It was like, huge burden off the shoulders. And I stopped thinking about, okay. I stopped ruminating about narcissists. I said, let's get educated. What are we going to do about this? I got my trauma certification. I got these degrees. We're going for this one. We're going to finish it. I don't care how long it takes. He said, God said it's going to take however long it's going to take. God's progress is one day at a time. He said it's going to take however long it's going to take. Let me tell y'all something. Well, I was in one of the units there. And I realized that because I was asking God. I was like, all right, well, how long is that going to take? He never answered me. I finally realized, Because it's going to take however long it's going to take. That's part of God's progress, one day at a time. Because as soon as I said, okay, it's going to take however long it's going to take, he said, that's my girl. He said, that's what I want to hear. That's what God wants to hear. He wants you to understand. It's going to take however long it's going to take. Because it's God's progress. And thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's why God has us doing that. On the Patreon free side, bring those videos over here to YouTube as well, and then share. Now, by the way, he also has us bringing y'all short messages about trauma responses, where I'm bringing you concepts from each of the courses at CHA Academy. We have that also. So you will find trauma healing at CHA Academy, btbw.com. You'll find that playlist as well. We got more coming for that. That's another project. All right, so you see how we doing, right? Okay, there you go. And, yeah, married for godly. There you go. You want to get married for godly reasons and not be marrying a bank account. Awesome point. Remember, God knows we need money. He's going to make sure that we got it. He's going to make sure we have what we need. He always has. He always will. That's the other part of trusting God and knowing God's progress one day at a time. I'm sitting here right now with y'all. I have no idea where the next dollar's coming from. I don't know. I trust God. I don't know. It's been several days since I've seen anything. Well, okay. I stand corrected. Okay, Quora. About every few months, I get pocket change, 20 bucks or so, off of Quora. Okay. All right, well, I don't ever know exactly when that's coming. All right, I just know it's coming at some point. But I get the text message when it's available. Okay, no big deal. But I'm talking about as far as, you know, what I would consider a decent payday or a decent day of income or whatever. What I would consider, I don't know when that is. I have no idea. It could be a week from now. I don't know. That's what faith looks like. That's what I'm telling y'all. You better be able to walk and live by faith in your purpose, because being an entrepreneur is spiritual. It is highly spiritual. You have to break the trauma bond to working for somebody else if that's not what you're called to do. If you are in a job that is your calling, then by all means, my goodness, don't let the devil separate you from that. But if you're not, and you hate your job, and you know that's not your calling, you want to find your calling, unpack that bag of talents and gifts, and get out here and coach an entrepreneur, well, you're going to want to have some savings saved up, that's for sure. You are going to want to have that. But you're going to have to be 100% walking and living by faith, because it ain't easy. Coming out of the matrix where you live, yeah, you were used to it. Got a weekly paycheck, you knew, okay, there. Or bi-weekly, or once a month, you at least knew you had that, all right. And then boom, 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 all right. On this journey, this entrepreneur journey, you don't have that. You got to have faith the size of a mustard seed, and it got to grow. And I ain't trying to scare nobody, but I'm just letting y'all know this is living proof right here. You got to have faith. And you see how God continues to show up. He's making sure this ministry keeps going, because he knows this is what he called me to do. See, whenever you are in your purpose and you are doing what God has called you to do, he is going to put you first. He is always going to make sure that you can keep going no matter what the devil tries to throw at you. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. You got to be willing to get up and do the work. You got to be willing to show up. And you can't be weary in well-doing. And still be able to get up and know that God is making a way, because you know he is. You got to trust and believe. That's what it's all about. God's progress, one day at a time. And just know that, okay, I might not know when the next paycheck, if you will, is coming. I may not know that. But I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I also know I see what I see in the spiritual. Oh, boy. I know what I see in the spiritual. And I've already declared and decreed it. So it's just a matter of time. I said, okay. I said, I know I'm going to get that notification any day now. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that PayPal notification any day now. But what I see in the spiritual, I believe it. That's right. I believe. Because I see it. That's all part of it, the subconscious mind. I just have to get her, my autonomic nervous system, on board here. I had to get her back into the present. Because she kept trying to go back. I had to get her to break that trauma bond to that house. So we finally did that. And so now me and my cockatoo, look at that. All right. And the occasional siren, here it goes. Of course, not going to be able to go live right here in this spot without at least one. Now I'm trying to figure out which way it's coming. Anyhow. There we go. It sounded like a cop. Yep, there goes the sheriff. Something going, well, see, it's Monday. All right, it's Zap Day. Something going down. Well, I know in the Matrix, well, I get it. It said, okay, things get more expensive inside the Matrix, okay? And that's what it is inside the Matrix. If you are working a job that you don't like, right, and you're working your butt off and hardly getting ahead, well, that's because the Matrix doesn't want you to. All right, this is why I'm going to tell y'all something real quick. Part of getting ahead financially in that situation is to do a serious assessment of needs versus wants. There are a lot of things out here that the Matrix has taught us that we have to buy for, like, hygiene and things. No. You don't. Simple thing. Okay? You can make your own toothpaste with 100% ginger and a little bit of water. Baking soda. But again, that's still sodium. However, you can do it. But you can make a lot of your own thing. Relatively inexpensive. Because that's one of the first things that I learned. And you'll learn more about this on the Patreon channel as well. That I wear one a day contact lenses, right? Okay, well, they are already in, meaning I put a fresh pair in every day. They're already in a saline solution. So I wash my hands, right? And then I go to put my contacts in. Why the hell was I using a bottle of contact solution to rinse them off when they already rinsed off and my hands are clean? So I quit wasting money on that. But now if you wear the monthly kind and you need the solution, that's a different story. But I'm just giving y'all that as an example of needs versus wants, or a need that you really don't need, but we were conditioned to, because before I used to wear the monthly wears or yearly wears or whatever. And so I got used to using contact solutions. So even with the one-day wears, that was a habit. Well, we broke that habit. So things like that, okay? And then you learn to do, well, you got to make sacrifices in God's reality. You got to make sacrifices. It's that simple. Yeah, you got to make sacrifices. Toothpaste, well, it depends, okay? Toothpaste, as far as it being expensive, it depends on the brand. It depends on the brand. It depends on what you're buying it for. Are you using it to whiten your teeth? Are you using it for this or that? Let me tell y'all something. I mean, with all the chemicals they put in our water, I mean, why are you adding? Anywho. I mean, you know, certain things like that. But I make an assessment. And then cleaning supplies. How many do you really need? You know what I'm saying? Like, I use vinegar water to wipe down my counters and things like that on a regular basis. I will use a little bit of bleach water as needed if there's some staining from coffee or tea or what have you that gets in the sink. Then I'll pull out the bleach water and do a little bit every once in a while. But you don't need it all the time. I use vinegar water and then just a little bit of mild soap and water. Ivory soap for a lot of things. And then, yeah, some Dawn dish detergent. But then for the bathroom, what? A couple of mild cleaners. But for the most part, I'm using vinegar water. But that's it. I mean, how many cleaners, just stuff like that, okay? And then if you are buying things, for, for cleaning or maintaining or whatever, it's an assessment of how much do you need. If it's just you, just one person, that's a big thing for me, is I'm like, how much do I need? Because we realize abundant things go a long way. A little bit goes a long way, chosen one. And so we have to do a need versus want assessment. And I mean a big one. And you will find out how much financially you can save just by doing that. It may not seem like much at first, but over time it adds up. Because contact solution, that was, probably $16 a year. May not seem like much, but over time that adds up. So just remember that. All right, so we want to wrap this one up. Right, and that's okay if you use lemon juice, a little bit of bleach for the toilet, but you don't have to do it. And then proper budgeting for food and things. It's all, it's all about learning. Okay, contact solution is a solution they make if you wear contact. It's supposed to clean your contact. Okay, if we wear glasses, like I wear glasses, but I also have contacts when I don't want to wear my glasses. So, there you go. But yeah, I mean, just simple things like that, y'all. Need versus want. And then how much of that do we really need to buy? And don't allow yourself, if you don't need the family size box of crackers, don't get the family size. Because you're going to end up, if it's just you, you'll end up throwing away a lot of that. I picked up on that one. How you're forced by the matrix to buy family size containers of stuff when it's just one person. I don't need all that. I ain't going to get it. Even if it's on my list, I'll go somewhere else and find a small regular size box so that I'm not wasting it. I'd rather spend 50 cents more than waste a half a box of crackers. That's just me. That's how I am. And then online they force a minimum amount to buy before they'll deliver. I know, we get that. So you got to find ways around that resistance with God. All right, y'all. There are many ways around that resistance with God. And so between you and God, you'll figure it out. I'm going to be bringing y'all some more stuff about that too. All right, so that wraps this one up for today. All right, everybody, so I'm sending love and light. Again, don't forget, check out them links below. All right, the Patreon channel, the CHA Academy. We got something for all y'all. All right, I want to say thank y'all in advance for pledging service grants. Every little bit counts. It goes a long way. All of it goes right back into this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. So, yeah, awesome chat. You are welcome. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.